Welcome to Case Files, the human factor. We are going to unpack and explore human behavior. And human behavior is fascinating. We're going to look at trauma, victimology, and I'm going to use all of my expertise over the last 25 years to really give you the gift of understanding human behavior and the fascination we've got with psychopathology, crime, victimology, criminal justice, mental health, forensics and statutory cases. And with that, I will, on my own and with the assistance of some of my guest speakers, really give you insight in what the human factor means in our lives and our daily existence. Welcome to the Human Factor. I'm Professor Tanya Robinson, and we will look at gender-based violence. So society brings a lot of violence to people. So part of, if we look historically back to just war zones, still today, difficult sort of spaces of wars, what people do to people, it is fascinating how aggressive people can be. And if we look at gender-based violence, it goes back a long time from the beginning of times where there's violence to specific genders. And if we look at gender-based violence against women, that will be our topic today of discussion. So if we look at gender-based violence in today's society, it is hugely problematic. And I saw the other day discussions on gender-based violence. There's an aim to stop gender-based violence. And we need to have goals with regards to the violence because it is significant, it is every day. And if we look at the statistics of females that are being killed, currently it is huge. So it is it's catastrophic. So we need to address the topic of gender-based violence. If I look and we bring it closer to home, and we look at people that have experienced gender-based violence, and we don't talk statistics, we don't talk about strategic plans, political agendas, but we really talk about the person that is sitting in front of us that have undergone gender-based violence. It is tragic. The trauma that people retain because of gender-based violence, the trust issues that emerges because of violations of the body, violations of a person's soul, violation of a person's belief systems, it is huge. And even if there's all of these adverts of speak out, report, I do have to beg the question, working in this field, are there really the effective support structures for people that have gone through gender-based violence? And I want to be bold and say that I don't believe that we are really practically on ground level helping people enough that are going through gender-based violence and giving them sufficient support. So let's talk about some examples of gender-based violence. And I want you to try and identify and try and merge with a person's feeling that have gone through violence. I want you to visualize a woman or a young girl that have gone through a rape, that has been sexually violated. I've sat with someone the other day, she's been sexually violated her whole life, and she's 18 years old and she sat there, and I cannot explain to you the trauma that this woman has experienced, the emotional disconnect, the sadness and the pain that a person sits with that have gone through that kind of trauma. It is nearly if there's an emotional disconnect of what your body can endure and what your soul can integrate and what you've experienced. It is significant. People talk flippantly about these things. I see it the whole time. They talk flippantly about sexual assaults, about physical violence, about financial violence, about psychological violence. Oh no, there's sort of conversations about everyone these days are gaslighters or manipulators, or everyone these days are victimized. You can't do anything anymore, then they feel victimized. I want us to go back to reality and to go back to the basics, as if you sit with someone that have been through difficult experiences, do not take that away from them through just talking surface level about these issues. It is not that easy to put your hand up and to say something happened to you. And often in gender-based violence cases, when people have got the energy and the strength to go and report it, they sometimes also get victimized, or the system victimizes them. Are you telling the truth? Are you lying? When did this happen? Are you lying? They become the offender in their own crime. The whole system is problematic, how it has been set up for victims. So people don't want to come forward. If you look at sort of the rates of prosecution on people that go through gender-based violence, it is still shockingly low. How things get twisted and turned, and how litigation processes sort of gets totally out of control, where the victim does not get any form of justice. It is happening daily, and it is happening worldwide. And then we ask the question, why are people not speaking up? Because if they speak up, they are often further victimized. They are not believed. There's nearly this sense of, if a person speaks up, they need to be proven to not be a liar. If you think about the first question that people ask in an assessment for someone that is violated, for a child, the first question to a child is, do you know what the difference is between a truth or a lie? So what are we setting up? We're already placing the suggestion there to the child that we don't believe you as the interviewer. We think you may be lying. Otherwise, why pose the question? And I know through all of my forensic experience, I've done in my life these interviews, that is the protocol. We are creating as interviewers the suggestion that the victim is lying. And that is one of the biggest reasons why victims don't come forward. So let's talk about what victims go through when gender-based violence takes place. Now, gender-based violence comes in various forms. It can start off by conversations, verbal dialogue, putting someone down. Oh, don't speak up, you're just a woman. Or let the men do the talking. We don't want to hear your voice. Or you're just a little girl. Let the boys do this. You're just a girl, taking away the power. So that is what gender-based violence is about. It takes away the power that you feel that you are lesser than. There's a threat through all of these violence, may it be physical, may it be emotional, may it be sexual, where power is taken away from that person, that they feel that they are broken, that they feel that they don't have power, that they feel that they cannot stand up. That is the principle and the golden thread of why an offender offend. They want to take away their power. There's the word in Afrikaans, and it's a good word to explain in my native tongue what sexual assault is, rape. So in Afrikaans, they call it verkrag. And that means that you actually take, krag means power, you take someone's power away from them. So that is what you do when you sexually assault someone. Now, for people that know how it feels to be sexually assaulted, you know that there's a magic wand, and as soon as that sexual assault takes place, or that physical assault, that wand hits and the power is gone. You've been verkragt. Your power has been stolen by the offender and you cannot take it back. And imagine for a moment gender-based violence with younger people, someone that has got no expertise or power to fight back. A 5-year-old child that may have been physically assaulted by an adult that hits them, that punishes them, speaks down on them, that takes away their power, that take away everything that they've got, that it's like a seesaw. They sit with all the power and the victim sits with nothing. Now, when people come to me and that has been victims of gender-based violence, they sit on the seesaw at the bottom and they don't know how to create an equilibrium and a power balance again with themselves because they feel lost. They feel that they've lost themselves. They feel that their power, their inner strength, their resilience, their grit has been stolen. It is not a good place to be. And when we look at people that have been victimized in such a way, through taking your power away through a gender status, someone that feel that they have got a authority because of their gender, because of an authority, because of a patriarchal ideology. So they feel that they are the boss. They feel that they are the structure of authority. You will do what I tell you to do. You will be lesser than. You will do whatever I say, and then you will keep it a secret. That's often part of gender-based violence, is you will tell no one because there's threatening behavior. There is, I will do something to your mom if you speak up. I will kill your family. I will do a lot of things to hurt you even further, to create terror, to create fear. And I want to go as far to say that the person that does and commit gender-based violence, they terrorize their victims to a place of fear where that victim cannot have any energy to stand up and to fight back. As an example, often gender-based violence victims stand up years later. So it may take 5 years, 10 years. We see cases where after 20, 30 years, the person would stand up and say, but this has happened in my life. This is my life script. This is my story. And what is the first question? Why are you coming forwards now? What took you so long? What is the benefit for you to now stand up? The reality is, if we look at the human factor in all of this with gender-based violence, it is exceptionally difficult when you are frozen in fear because of terrorization to stand up and to go and speak to someone, to go and stand up and to go to a police station. Let's talk about police stations worldwide. So the victim walks into the station, and if you are lucky, in a first world country, perhaps you don't have to give a statement in front of 10 other people that come into the police station. So there's an expectation that someone that was perhaps nearly killed or sexually violated or physically assaulted, that they can hardly get to the police station. They pretty much crawling to a police station or to a hospital to now give a statement in front of an audience. What is the world thinking? And I'm talking about all of us that is sitting in positions where we can facilitate change. Why are we not addressing the elephant in the room? For gender-based violence victims, they do not want to go and walk into a police station and tell their story in front of a lot of other people. If you are in a third world country and in a developed country, people are too scared to walk into a police station because they are too scared that they're actually further offended or victimized in the police station themselves. Because it is a scary place if you have walked into some of these police stations in countries that are developed. It's not necessarily giving the projection of safety. So we have got a big problem society-wise, internationally-wise, globally, of we have an expectation that victims report, speak up, but we are not providing a safe space. And when I sit with people in a room, hearing their stories, listening to them, what is the core need for someone that have gone through gender-based violence? Safety. That is the first thing that they need, is to feel safe. And we are not providing that safety, sometimes in a therapeutic space, in a forensic space, in a statutory interview space, or in a courtroom, or in the prosecutor's office. Often we are not creating that space. Victims are expected in a courtroom to stand pretty much a meter from the offender and give testimony. How should a victim that have undergone, for example, being murdered? I've had some cases where females have had knives against their throats, that have been stabbed, that have been hit to a point where they couldn't get up, that they've been hospitalized for months. But they are expected to give testimony in front of an audience, if there's a jury, in front of the perpetrator. They're already in a place where they have got a predisposition to failure in giving testimony. Yes, in developed countries that has got facilities where there's funds, it's more progressive, and you can perhaps sit in a room and give through video camera link evidence. But we have to think more about what our expectations are on victims. Often in these situations, there's also cases that are thrown out, cases that cannot proceed, and there's no follow-up. The victim are told, sorry, we can't proceed, and it's just left. And the victim has to go home and think, there's no justice. I need to see this person at the supermarket. Perhaps if they're lucky, they get an intervention order that's granted. But the system is not set up to really fully understand and protect the victims. If I look developmentally at little victims that are at birth, babies, baby rapes, if we look at developmentally at formative year children that are growing up on the streets, that are violated by older people or sort of similar age people that don't have any homestead. If I look at people that in places where they feel they may have been safe, where they are not safe, and they are violated sexually, violated financially and emotionally. For all of these people, we do need to give them a sense of hope. And I don't want to say, just speak up. there needs to be an action plan, there needs to be a forward-thinking plan to really take a victim's hand that has undergone gender-based violence, that has nearly lost their lives, that has been so wounded and so violated, and where their souls have been stolen, to give them hope. And I do hope that professionals and that people that seek help don't just see it as another case, don't just see it as another patient, but that there is an interconnectionness where they give them a structure, a sense of peace, that this person can really heal, that they can really feel, no matter how it looks, a sense of justice, that they can recover, that we're not just putting on a plaster and expect these victims to just go on with their lives. It is just not possible. For the victims, it is important that they look at themselves carefully and start unpacking. Don't just suppress. Don't just avoid. Start unpacking these unwanted gifts that the offenders have given you, and start working with someone to a point of healing. So, gender-based violence is an important ongoing conversation that we need to have, and we cannot just pay lip service to it. I want you to really think, after listening to this, what is your role in our global society to make a difference? If you are a female or a male or sort of gender fluid, I want you to think, what are you doing to facilitate change for victims that have nearly lost their lives because of gender-based violence?